What's a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and what does it mean for you and your health? We'll explain in our debut podcast. Have you thought about going to med school? What information do you need? Are there any challenges? And what kind of science score is needed? We have the answers. Plus, do you know what are the most common health challenges women face today? How do you overcome them? We'll sit down with two doctors. Their answers may surprise you. And Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine is expanding into Florida. Learn how we're taking mission medicine to the Sunshine State. All that and much more. So let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the DO Pulse, a podcast about osteopathic medicine, community, and education. I'm your host, Sydney Alvarez. This podcast is brought to you by Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, and we have an amazing show for you today. Joining us is the president of Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine, John Ammer. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Sid.
And we have second-year student Lindsay Abel. Thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you all here. So John, Burrell has some history here in Las Cruces. Tell us about Burrell.
You bet. So we were founded in 2013 when the development first started, and we matriculated our first class in July of 2016. Mm-hmm. Since then, up until now, we've graduated 4 classes. 565 physicians have entered residencies throughout the nation, mm-hmm. and we've had 99% placement rate of all our graduates into graduate medical education. But what really I think differentiates mm-hmm. our medical school from others was our founding mission, and that mission was to diversify the physician workforce to better reflect the fabric of the society in which they're going to work. And we knew at that time that if you looked across the medical school landscape, on mm-hmm. average 10% of students were underrepresented minorities in medical schools. We are now at 25%.
Wow. And
that ranks number 2 in the nation among all osteopathic medical schools. So we like to say that we did not just put it in words, but we put it into action. But we're not done with that action plan and our vision, so we're constantly improving as an organization to do that, not only with our student body, with our faculty, with our staff.
Well, so let's talk about our students. We have Lindsay here. You know, a lot of people may be wondering, what's a DO, right? Why did you decide to pursue osteopathic medicine? And tell us what a DO is.
Yeah, so osteopathic medicine is very similar to allopathic medicine, but it focuses a little bit more on the mind-body-spirit connection. And so through our work, we do something called OMM, Osteopathic Manipulative Medicine, and that's a very hands-on approach. It also focuses a lot on preventative medicine, mm-hmm. which for me, I want to go into pediatrics, and so focusing on preventative medicine with kids is going to make healthier, happier adults in the future, and so it all kind of ties together.
Thank you. Now, John, I know that we're expanding into Florida.
Yes.
But let's take a quick look at a story that we have about our Florida campus.
We are located on the campus of Florida Institute of Technology. It's an existing building that's been on the Florida Tech campus for quite some time. It's a 3-story building. We have 40,000 square feet that we're renovating and turning into the medical school.
There's still a lot of finished work to be done, but this is going to be an amazing facility. Our students are going to love it. I hope the Burrell faculty love it, and it's in a wonderful community next to the beach.
We have anatomy labs. We have the osteopathic manipulation education labs. We have many breakout rooms and quite a few student study lounge areas.
Burrell brings a DO expertise, and I think it's a match made in heaven, and also creates opportunities for other kinds of collaborations in terms of research and those kinds of things.
It should open in January for our faculty to be housed in the school, in their offices, and we'll be accepting our first class in July of 2024.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff that's happening in Florida. Very exciting, right?
Yes, and we get asked a lot why Florida. It's several thousand miles apart, but yet we're very close in our relationship. It started back in 2016 through some mutual relationships between Florida Institute of Technology, Florida Tech, and here at Burrell, and through New Mexico State University. they saw what we were developing here and they had an interest in doing something similar. Now, when you look at osteopathic medical schools around the country, what we're doing is not unique. Let me give you a couple examples. The Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, they have a medical school, an additional location right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and they had another second one in Savannah, Georgia, in southern Georgia. And then the Edward Via College, they have a medical school in Virginia, Alabama, Louisiana, South Carolina.
Wow.
So osteopathic medical schools tend to go where there is a need and a fit. And the shortage of physicians throughout the nation is not exclusive to New Mexico.
Right.
It's also in Brevard County, Florida. And large hospital systems there welcomed us in to not only train our students while they're in medical school with clerkships, but also to start new residencies. And we do have the connection through the aerospace industry. Cape Canaveral is right in the front yard where our medical school is. And of course, the space industry was founded right over the mountains here outside this window. And so we have some connections there too. So.
Absolutely, and Lindsay, I wanted to bring you in here. So much happening with Burrell. Why did you pick Burrell?
There were two main reasons I picked Burrell. One of those was the community in Las Cruces and on this campus. There's a big emphasis on service and kindness and taking care of each other, and I immediately felt that when I came to visit the campus and spent a day or two in Las Cruces before I started school here. So that was one reason, and the other one, as President Hummer mentioned, was the diversity here, having a student body that has all different, we come from all different races, religions, backgrounds, parts of the country, parts of the world, and that was really good for me to experience everyone's different ideologies, and it made me a more well-rounded person and hopefully a more well-rounded physician.
Thank you both so much. Truly appreciate sharing your story. Thank you so much, President Hummer, for the updates. And we'll be back after this break. Do you know what are the most common health challenges women face today? And how do you overcome them? We sit down with two doctors. Their answers may surprise you. Also, have you thought about going to med school? What information do you need? Are there any challenges? And what kind of science score is needed? We have the answers, all that after the break.
Your time is now, right here at the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. We have a 99% graduate residency placement and more than 850 physician preceptors, plus a simulation department, gross anatomy, and research labs. We offer Mission Medicine, a community-based learning experience, with 2 campus locations, New Mexico and Florida. Go to burrell.edu and apply today. And remember, your time is now.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Have you ever thought about going to med school? What does it take? And what's the process like? Well, here to share their expertise, we have some really fabulous folks with us. We have Natalie Davis. She is Burrell's Director of Admissions. And then also joining her is our first year student, Rahul Kalra, did I say that right?
Yep, that's correct.
And he's, as I mentioned, a first-year student here at Burrell. Thank you both for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Of course.
So I got to ask, okay, Natalie, what makes an applicant coming to Burrell stand out?
That's a really good question. We get that question a lot from candidates who want to apply. I feel like the biggest thing, because we're such a mission-driven institution, is having those areas in your application where we can see really clear alignment with our mission. So whether that be, having experience working with underserved populations, being passionate about working in rural communities or urban underserved areas, students who can really kind of showcase their spirit of volunteerism throughout their application. Obviously, we want students who are strong academically, who are going to be able to excel in the curriculum.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah. But we really do take a holistic look, and we really want those students who are going to continue the legacy of Burrell's Mission.
Rahul, we chatted earlier, and you told me that you came here because you liked Burrell's Mission. Tell me about that.
Yeah, one of the biggest things was having these positive interactions during my interview process and getting to talk about how the whole idea of helping the community nearby, and it's for the future. I mean, para la gente el futuro, like you're for the people and the future. That stood out to me. I grew up in somewhat of a low community or a low income and somewhat of a rural community. So for me, that meant a lot. And that meant I could get a proper education and have it with the individuals that are driving that same theme and that same idea that I could use for my future.
Absolutely. So Natalie, let's finish talking about the application process. What if your application is strong in some areas, but weak in others?
Yes, yeah. So
What do you do?
That does happen. So again, I just want to reiterate for us here, it really is a holistic review process. We have students who maybe don't have the strongest MCAT, but they have really great history in the classes that they've taken, and they've made really good grades, and they have really great experiences, whether that be like medical experiences or volunteer experiences, or maybe kind of the reverse is true. Maybe they're really, really strong in all academic areas, but they're in the process of kind of building up those experiences too. So really what I want to emphasize for students is it's a holistic review. So make sure to really highlight the parts of your application where you feel like you especially are strong, but don't ignore completely the parts that you feel like
Write it
are
really
weak.
small.
At least in some way address it so that you're not left or you're not leaving the admissions committees and people to kind of guess at that information. Address it head on, but then really highlight those parts where you feel like you shine.
So I got to ask you, Rahul. How's your science? How are you in science? How are your science scores? I just figure everybody has really strong science scores.
Yeah, no, science is one of my positive aspects. I love biology. I love chemistry, physics. So for me, naturally wanting to pursue a career in the medical field, especially like being a doctor, kind of filled those loopholes with, trying to find a puzzle with the patients.
Yes.
And among that, science is a big aspect.
So what was your application experience like when you applied at Burrell? What was it like?
It was positive. It was like any other application experience, but my personal statement was very geared towards the mission statement, right? And it stood out because I was very strongly affiliated what the mission statement was for Burrell. So for me, it came naturally. I was just able to write and speak my heart. So I really enjoy that.
So I'm smiling really big because I'm like, do you feel you're going through your interview process again?
I am, yeah. This definitely feels, yes.
So let's talk about that. So, when you enter med school, there's an interview process. Natalie, tell us about that.
Well, I think what Raul was saying, talking about writing his personal statement, but this carries into the interview too, just finding ways that you can really be your genuine self is the most important thing. If you're applying to a school, if you get the chance to interview, probably you have at least some interest in actually attending. So doing your homework ahead of time, not going into the interview cold, but making sure you can find those elements that really align with your interests directly. So when you're talking to faculty and others about them, your genuine interest can really show through and they can see you fitting really well as a part of that institution.
So, what happens when the student gets accepted? Where do you move from there?
So once they get accepted, they have a lot of information coming at them. There's a lot of things that they need
Don't worry,
to do.
I'm going to ask you that, okay?
To get
there's
ready.
a lot of information coming.
Yes, yeah. So they need to make sure, they have things like their financial aid in order. If they're moving to a new city to attend that school, they're going to have to find housing. They're going to start to get acquainted with the other students that are part of that incoming class, start to make friends, build connections. A lot of students ask, well, what should I be studying, or should I be doing some academic work ahead of time?
Right. Yeah.
I feel like the best advice, and I hear this a lot from students, is no, because you don't really know how to study yet. Just make sure you have all the logistical pieces, you have the rest of your life in order, so that when you start, you can really hit the ground running with your academics.
Rahul, I know that med school is serious and it's challenging, but does it feel like is it exciting to you because this is what you want to do? This is your goal. You shared with me before we went on that you want to go into emergency medicine. Can you give us some insight?
Yeah, medical school is definitely very challenging. It's a very big leap from undergraduate, post-bac, master's, wherever you come from. But among all of it, it's very thrilling. You learn a lot. My curiosity is bigger every day, especially with the different blocks that you're in with cardio, resp. You learn a lot. It's like they say, it's drinking water out of a faucet, or one of those fire brigades. You guys get what I'm talking about. It feels like that, but at the end of the day, it feels amazing. It's living your dream, and you're learning, and you're at where you want to be.
If we want students to really get a feel or to understand, we offer tours, right? People can come in. We're kind of like an open book, an open house, so to speak. Tell us about this.
Absolutely, yes. So on our admissions webpage, students can find links to schedule in-person tours pretty much any day of the week. We make ourselves available for that. That's true here in our New Mexico campus. At our Florida campus, since that building is still being renovated, we expect those tours to become available early in the spring semester. So hoping January, February, and we also offer periodic virtual tours. So if students can't get here in person, they can see the dates for those on our website too, and they can join us virtually.
Did you come before you started school?
I took a virtual tour, and then after I was accepted, I did check out the area. 4 years is a long time, so I wanted to make sure
it's a commitment.
City,
yes,
a very big commitment. So I wanted to know what the city was like, and besides the school, I toured the whole city, toured everywhere, and I loved it.
And you came in, and what was your first impression?
It's hot. It's hot.
Las Cruces is hot.
It was very hot, but among that, people were very welcoming. The interactions I've had with other incoming first years, it was very positive. They're all very welcoming. They're excited to meet you. I don't see any cliques being formed. They're all very accepting. It's the big light for me.
And the faculty, right? The faculty, as I see somebody walking through my eye line, the faculty are just fantastic, right?
Yeah, a few of the interactions I've had was with the anatomy department. One of the tour individuals helped me up there, and I got to see the cadaver lab the first time that I came here, which was amazing.
You guys, we're running out of time, so let's do some quick takeaways. Natalie, your advice for somebody who wants to apply at Burrell, what would you say?
Gosh, so many things come to mind, but I guess the biggest one is don't be afraid to ask questions. Admissions offices, even though it can be kind of a scary thing to apply, we tend to be really approachable people. So don't be afraid to reach out. We're always happy to answer questions. Email us, call us.
Share your email, or share the email that people use.
Yes, for sure. So admissions@burrell.edu. You can reach us by email. Very quick response rate. You can give us a call, 575-674-2210, and we're happy to connect with candidates.
Rahul, your takeaways, what would you share with people? What advice?
Do it, apply, amazing city, and make sure you understand the mission statement really well because it's strong.
Thank you. Thank you both so much for your words of wisdom to any potential students, and thank you both for your time.
Of course, thank you.
What are the most common health challenges women face today? We sit down with two doctors to learn what they are and how to overcome them. All that coming up after the break.
Your time is now, right here at the Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. We have a 99% graduate residency placement and more than 850 physician preceptors, plus a simulation department, gross anatomy, and research labs. We offer Mission Medicine, a community-based learning experience. We have 2 campus locations, New Mexico and Florida. Go to burrell.edu and apply today. And remember, your time is now.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We have a really amazing segment. I'm super excited about this. Women face unique medical challenges, and joining us to give us some insight and solutions are 2 fantastic doctors, 2 fantastic people here at Burrell, and I'm really excited to introduce them to you all. So first joining us is Dr. Layla Townsend. She is the Associate Professor in our Department of Preclinical Medicine and OBGYN. And next to her is my fabulous friend, Dr. Gabriella Rangel. She specializes in internal medicine. Ladies, welcome both to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. When I knew we were going to be talking about women's health, it hit me hard because I think of my mom, I think of my sister. So you all tell me, what are the top challenges that women are facing when it comes to health?
Yeah, absolutely. Still at the top of the list is gender bias when it comes to treating our female patients.
So, okay, you got to explain it to me. What do we mean by gender bias?
Well, there's still stereotypes that prevail when women present to their doctors, whether they be male physicians, female physicians. The stereotype of women being overly emotional, exaggerating, too dramatic, at times can interfere with the way that they are treated in the healthcare system. Their symptoms or their complaints may be minimized or dismissed.
So I was going to say they're going to be dismissed. So somebody comes in and says, you know, I've had this headache for 3 months now, and they're going to think they're just being dramatic and exaggerating.
Probably, or they're saying, you know, it's maybe just stress, or you're not sleeping adequately, or just give other excuses instead of actually looking into it. Whether if it was an elderly patient or a male, then okay, what's going on? We should get a CT. We should do this, or I will send you to the neurologist. So it's just all this, the way we grew up, the way the female is pursued as just, you know, saying they're hysterical. They don't really, or physicians or other providers don't really pay attention to those symptoms that are interfering with our day-to-day life.
So we want to let our viewers and our listeners know, you know, these are the challenges, but we want to offer solutions. Okay, so if the first challenge that we're talking about is this gender bias, what's the solution?
Listen to your patients and believe them.
So okay, so what if we feel the doctor's just not listening to me? So I'm that patient. So what do you do? What do you say?
Well, you can always get a second opinion. You could always change doctors. Or you could tell your doctor, you know what, doctor, I have been telling you about this for so many times, and I don't feel you're doing anything to help me. Is there any way we could get a study, or we could do something, because I want to know what's going on. It's concerning to me. Also, as the patient, you need to tell us what your thoughts are. Don't just dismiss it.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we as healthcare providers, we educate our patients. We want to empower them to do their own work, to advocate for themselves. Okay, and I agree with Dr. Rangel. You know, if they don't have to just stop with us. They can seek out 1, 2, 3 different opinions if they choose. There are support groups, especially for women who have, let's say, certain diagnoses of chronic pelvic pain or endometriosis. There's a community of women who are willing to help. But the key is empowering your patients.
So let's talk about the second health challenge that you guys wanted to share with us. What's another health challenge that women face?
It would be the prioritization of women's health. So often, and I think Dr. Rangel will agree with me, is that we in our society have a tendency to focus solely on the reproductive health of the patient. You know, if you're pregnant, you have a baby, and it's like we're just our uterus and our ovaries and our fallopian tubes.
And you're so much more.
We're so much more. And when you think about it, looking at the statistics, I mean, women make up over half of the global population. They make up over 50% of the U.S. population. They account for over 60% of the American workforce, as well as, you know, they make up about 80% of healthcare decision making in their own homes.
Very true. We were talking about that before we started taping. And if you think about it, the female household, or the woman, is taking care of the partner, the husband, the parents, the children. Absolutely. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is a lot of responsibility.
Yes, so on top of that, like Dr. Townsend was saying, we work. We have our professional careers, then we have to go home and take care of our household. We forget about ourselves. We forget about taking care of ourselves. If we think it's a cold, we just take maybe some home remedies, over-the-counter stuff, and we forget about us and we focus more on somebody else. And we have to teach that to our patients too. If something comes up that's bothering you, take care of yourself. Otherwise, you won't be able to take care for others.
Thank you. Is there a third health challenge that you all can share with us?
I think having access to providers or actual insurance. That puts a lot of limit on the patients, not just female, but everybody. Some people don't have the resources to go to the doctor. So they just seek seek their friends or go over the border since we're in El Paso.
You know, that is a very unique situation. You know, when we talk about being a border community, Las Cruces, El Paso, we have our neighbors to the south. I know that as a boy, we used to do that too. We would seek medical care in Juarez. Neither good or bad, I would assume.
Yes. Well, some medications are cheaper over there. And when I was doing outpatient, some of my patients wouldn't be able to afford their medication. That's important, diabetes, high blood pressure. So they would go over the border and get those medications. It's okay as long as it's working for them. I think having some medication is better than not having any medication at all.
Now, sorry, I was going to say at Burrell, we advocate for what we call mission medicine, and it's reaching out to our rural communities. So that factors into access, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that. Either one.
So we want to help those patients that don't have access as much as we can. I know we're also limited for that, and we can only do so much. But as long as they have somebody to at least take their vitals and counsel them on how to be healthy, do better, and look for any warning signs to seek more help, I think that helps out a lot. A little bit can help a lot.
Yes, and I think it also, and the beautiful thing about mission medicine, we take a deep dive into being socially aware of the social determinants of health, whether it be socioeconomic, race, culture, sexual orientation. And that's what's important, because we're not only talking about it, whether it be, again, racial inequities, any kind of disparities. We not only talk about it, we're immersing ourselves into the population.
So, they were telling me I only got 2 minutes left. So I really want folks who are listening and watching to take something home with them, to take something back with them. What, words of advice would you want to leave them? From everything that they've heard, what would you want to say to people?
If you're a female, take care of yourself. If you have a female in your household, or, mother, sister, a kid who's a female, and take care of them too. If you see something abnormal, let them know. They probably don't know themselves because they're so focused on doing something else for somebody else that they forget about themselves.
Because we have very little time. Is it a Latino thing? Is it does heritage and race have a factor in this?
I would say so. It's not 100%, but the way you were brought up determines a lot of the decisions you make.
Absolutely, I would have to agree with that. It can have a cultural component, and that requires a larger discussion than what we have now.
That's going to be another show.
That's another show.
And we're definitely going to invite you back, Dr. Townsend. Any last words that you want to share?
You know what? The last words I would, if I could share with anyone, is that, we want to create for women the opportunity to advocate for their own health and to live their best lives.
Thank you. Dr. Rangel, Dr. Townsend, thank you both for your time. Truly a very insightful conversation. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, that is our show. If you have any questions or comments about our program or have any story ideas, please send us an email. Our email is communications@burrell.edu. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you can follow us on our social media handles. Our handle is @Burrell College. I'm Sidney Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time.